Hello, welcome. This week I decided that it felt right to talk about the quarry. So, the rock quarry is actually part of the mountain, but much like when we villainize parts of ourselves, things that we decide are wrong, they're too ugly, they cause us to do something, just the parts of our body or the parts of our life that we look at, the shadows of our life, and we just decide that they're villains and we have to fight against them. And it's a battle of good versus evil. But in reality, it's not. It's really us. It's maybe the parts of us that we don't want to look at anymore, that maybe we're scared to look at or we're ashamed of. Maybe it's our history. So in the book, one of the main parts of it that she's dealing with is the mountain. She's stuck in the quarry. And, the quarry is where the prisoners are. The quarry is where the guards treat the prisoners poorly. She's stuck. She's trapped. So obviously her relationship to the quarry is not a good one. And then the mountain also, the quarry is like part of the mountain, or at least it appears at first, that it's the part of the mountain that even though it's part of it, it still doesn't like it. It doesn't feel like it belongs, And in reality, it's a part of the mountain that it's been disconnected from so long that it's actually forgot that it's a part of itself. But it's at the base of the mountain, and it's basically where they've blasted and they've dug and they've like just gotten all the rock out, and it's an eyesore, on nature. It's not a place that's habitable by the creatures. It's almost like a cancerous spot, like an open wound on the land and on the mountain. And so throughout the story, it's not the great place. She's trying to realize that the mountain is not the villain. It's the quarry that's the villain. The mountain is there to protect her. It doesn't want to harm her. As she realizes, like, no, I'm not saying the mountain's obviously going to harm her, but I mean like the forces of nature through the mountain. She actually sees the mountain as a guardian, not as an oppressor. There we go. And she thinks that the quarry is the oppressor. But as she learns through her dreams, through her communications with the spirit of the mountain and the mountain itself, the mountain is awakening. Yes, it's been there. It has a life of its own, but it's like further, deeper awakening to itself and to a part of it long forgotten, which is the quarry. So in there, when you think about maybe there's something that happened in your childhood, maybe the mountain isn't you and the quarry is a part of you. Maybe the mountain is your family line. Maybe part of your family you have basically discounted or you don't want anything to do with. And I'm not saying forgive them to help them out. I'm not saying go running to them with open arms. I'm saying understand it from a different perspective. Understand that the things in our life that we portray as a villain, as the enemy, as a thing that we have to fight against, isn't actually the enemy. And maybe we have nothing to do with it. Maybe we disconnect. Maybe it's a family member, or it's a friend, or a work or relationship, a spouse, somebody, somewhere, something that you feel has become villainized, and you've villainized it, you've dehumanized it so that you can justify your actions towards it, or just your actions of separating from it. But maybe the right thing to do is to love them for who they are and be able to set them free, be able to disconnect from them, give them the love that sparks their own love, that allows them to go searching for their love and stop trying to take from yours. It's like if you had a well full of water and you're continually handing out, and sometimes people are taking from you all your water. Maybe if you show them that this is your water, you set your boundaries. I will not share this with you. I take care of me first. And if there's any left, I'd be more than willing to share with you from a place of abundance instead of a place of lack. And so also you tell them, you show them, this is how you set borders. You have your own well. Drink from your own well. Well, yeah, but your water is better. My water is better because you perceive that. You have no more access to my water. This is mine. That is yours. I'll love you from afar. So maybe that's helpful to help you see these relationships and see how when you basically, at first, you're not cutting them off necessarily. You're basically looking at your own. You're taking care of yourself and you're standing firm and you're setting an example and you're saying no more. and then whatever happens happens. Like you're not worried about what the relationship is anymore. What happens when you cut them off, or what happens when they're so dependent upon you and now they don't know what to do. Basically, you're just disconnecting from the energy altogether and focusing on your energy first. And as long as you focus on your energy, then when you come to a place of fulfillment, a place of this is mine, I am full, now let's see what I can do about the others. Take care of yourself first. And then you can address, is this somebody that I still want in my life? Is this somebody that you see, are they going to change? Are they willing to change? Have they changed already? And if they don't change, am I okay with that? Maybe they're still in your life, but you've disconnected the hooks that they had in you, that you allowed them to put there by not paying attention, by not creating your boundaries. It has to be all about you. It all has to be about the disconnect. That's why there's the hermit mode. That's why you focus on you, get your stuff together, and then once you're together, then you can help them, then you can show them the example of what it looks like, then you can inspire them. Then instead of them needing to take from you consistently, let them take your example and let them figure out what that means to them. While you're redefining your relationship, they're going to go through disconnect. Oh, this person doesn't love me, or did I do something wrong? They're going to go through their own motions. And then when you come to your place and they come to their place, maybe you come back together because maybe you've left the old version of you and the old version of them. And maybe the new version of you and the new version of them can come together. And when I say old version, new version, I don't mean you just discard everything. It's almost like you cleanse it and bring it back. You go through and you realize what it really means to you. You take what no longer serves you, the parts of it, you dust it off, you cleanse it, you clean it, and then you fold it back into the who you are now. Because you don't actually get rid of any part of you. It's like if you're building with Play-Doh and you want to build a new person, you're not going to just squash. You might squash the person and start from scratch, but you're still working with the same clay. So you still have the same amount. You're not going to just take that clay and throw it in the garbage and grab a brand new deal of clay. Ideally, in this situation. Obviously, you can go buy more clay. You can buy Play-Doh, whatever. But the point being is that you take this clay and you disassemble it. You take what no longer needs. Maybe you clean it off. Maybe it's gotten dusty. Maybe a piece of clay dripped into another and you have to separate that clay and decide what you don't need anymore. And then you rebuild from that clay, the pieces you already had, the pieces you no longer need, maybe the colors you no longer need. You get rid of those and then you can bring in new and add to it so that you're not building from scratch. You're building a foundation and you're building yourself, but you really have to disconnect from others. You have to focus on you energetically. It doesn't have to be physical. Maybe you take a couple days off and you go to a hotel somewhere and just be by yourself. Or maybe you go on a trek in the forest, go camping just by yourself. You don't have to. I'm sure it would be much more beneficial, more efficient. You'll get more accomplished sooner. But if you don't have the time or the money or the resources to just go away for a weekend, maybe every day you set aside a certain time of sacred time. Maybe it's in your lunch. Maybe it's when you first get home from work. Maybe it's in the morning before you go to work, or replace work with your business hours or your breaks. Go in there and decide where in there. Maybe you're a stay-at-home parent. There's times that you can set aside. Okay, kids. Okay, husband. Okay, wife. I need this 15 minutes for myself. Start with 15 minutes, 10 minutes, even 5 minutes. I need this time to myself, uninterrupted unless it's an emergency. I need to have alone time, me time, to bring the best me to this relationship, to this family that I can. And I need you to respect that. And if you need to do the same, I respect that. And I will help you find a point in time during the day. Or maybe for Saturday morning or Sunday morning or evening, you can set aside some time. Maybe start with 15 minutes. Like I said, maybe eventually, in order to get to that silence, maybe you're not used to that. Maybe you go stir crazy. Maybe you watch a show for 30 minutes. Or maybe ideally you meditate for 30 minutes or 20 minutes and then set this time aside where you're just really reflecting on you. Journal, do whatever to help pull this out of you, to help reflect and see what no longer serves, and to see what you're looking for, what you're seeking, because what you're seeking is seeking you. But you have to come in alignment. You have to knock off the dust. You have to cleanse. You have to do all these things so that you can create a better bond, so that you can create a higher vibration. You have to get all the gunk out of the way. So this is a good way to do this. And hopefully you kind of got the reflection of what I meant, how when you see something, you don't just discard it. You don't, well, this is the thing I don't want, so I'm going to fight against it. I'm going to push it away. Even pushing it away is the same thing. You're still fighting it. Take time for yourself, figure yourself out, and then figure out the relationship and realize, where does this fit in your life? If it's a part of you, like a physical part of you, ideally you want to give it love at the end of all of this. You want to love what it is for what it is. Non-judgmental. Just love what it is, in the same way that you would love a child or a grandchild or a parent or a puppy or a cat, a niece or a nephew. That love that you have for them, you want to have that for yourself, all parts of yourself and all parts of your life, because no matter what, it served you. Maybe it no longer serves you. Maybe like training wheels on a bike, it helped you flow, but now you've outgrown them, and you want to give it love for what it gave for you. Nothing on this earth is put here just to hurt you. It's put here to guide you so that you learn from it. So you learn from the experience of it, from the entanglement of it. But you have to release yourself from that entanglement if it no longer serves you, whether it be friend, family member, part of your life, shadows, whatever it might be. So this is the end of the conversation. I really feel like I'm out of flow right now, and I don't want to get in my head and start overanalyzing, because that's going to muddy the waters. So I wanted to say thank you for listening. I appreciate your time. Like, subscribe, follow, below the description, leave comments, please and thank you. Absolutely love you guys. Talk to you next week.